Food for thought. Hey, here's food for thought.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Brandy Gilliam. I'm with Steve and Brandon, and this is Food for Thought. Talk that shit, and yeah, we don't have a subject or topic, just freestyling off the dome, and yeah.
I'd like to know why the hell we're going to the moon again. 50 years later, we went to the moon 50 years ago. And what did we do with that trip? What did we do? We brought back rocks. I'm sure we learned a lot of stuff, and but I don't know the moon any better today than I knew it 50 years ago. And now we're going again. We're going to spend billions of dollars to go to the moon. Why? So we can, I don't know, do you guys know?
No, have they stated kind of main reasons? Is it more of like a scientific, are we looking for certain things that we're mining? Or do we have new research and information that like, all right, now that we're going back, we know what we're looking for type thing? Not too familiar with the updates.
Randy?
No idea. But I do know some companies have so-called purchase plots of land on the moon, like certain hotels. I don't think you can.
Who owns it? That they can sell it?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think you can legally in space. I don't know, but I don't think you can legally buy a part of the moon. But there are like hotels and stuff that are planning out plots where they're gonna so-called build in the future times.
Really?
Which is weird. So
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
If you can buy metaverse land,
the Mars
then,
Hotel.
I mean, hey, people buying bitcoins and not even bitcoin, just like oh man, what's that? Oh man, that like Bored Ape.
I don't know what it is.
NFT that everyone went crazy
Okay,
for.
gotcha.
Everyone paid like $300,000 stuff for like NFTs.
Did you pay $300,000 for an NFT?
No way.
I have no idea.
But they say that the money from the NFTs goes straight back to the artists, and they're like
Sure.
almost like collectibles, which makes them so valuable, supposedly.
Sure. I think in theory, yeah, that kind of is a great idea. I think there's just a couple of loopholes and yeah, some things that they need to work on to make it kind of foolproof. But yeah, there's been a couple of hacks where people's stuff have gotten stolen. And they're like, hey, please give that back. It's just like you just kind of got ran for your stuff on the internet. It's crazy, but
Steve,
so anyway, yeah, back to the moon.
So what if they went to the moon the first time, and let's say hypothetically they saw something they weren't supposed to see, and that scared them from going back all of these years, but now they're going back because they want to look more closely at it. What if there was a civilization on the moon that warned the astronauts and warned America to not come back to the moon?
It's an interesting theory or supposition or basis for maybe a movie or something, but yeah, I don't know. You would think that in 50 years, if there was such a thing, we would have gotten a glimpse of that somehow, some way.
But what if, for instance, what we know and what the government knows is two totally different types of things? So what if
we know a lot more.
So like, what if the government? Yeah, I know. So like, what if the government knew something behind closed doors that we didn't know?
Well, there's a lot of that going on, I think, and I don't know. Are we gonna know any more by going on this trip? Then they're gonna hide more. If there's more to know, we're gonna know less, and they're gonna know more.
That's chapter 2 of not knowing more. We're gonna be extra behind.
I don't know.
What did the guy say? What's his name? Was it Rumsfeld said there's known knowns and unknown knowns, we know, and known knowns. You know what I'm talking about? It was this speech. It was this press conference.
I vaguely.
He was talking about the war. He was like, there are knowns we know and unknown knowns, the knowns we don't know, but the known, it was crazy. So something like that. So I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get that.
But honestly, like when you look at sci-fi movies, there's always this theme that the resources on Earth are finite. So we have to reach out to the stars. Even in anime, it's always about leaving planet Earth because it's so desolate and ruined. And I honestly believe that, well, scientists have said we're like at the halfway mark or almost at the halfway mark, that you can't turn back the planet. It's like global warming is going to happen and like we're going to die and crazy shit like that. But to like the wickedly wise, I wouldn't be surprised if they had this plan where they, like, in order for the species of Earth to survive, certain people were selected or called out to, you know, go on planet. I mean, it's in every movie you see it happen. Not saying it's real, but up in every movie. But
like that movie Don't Look Up?
Yeah. And so for like the common person like me and you, we'd just be asked out. But to the elite and to the rich, they would always have a place to, you know what I mean? And certain government officials from certain governments would have a place to, whether it go to the moon, Mars, or like whatever.
A little bit of a modern day Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Are they going to take 2 species of every animal too and try to repopulate the moon or Mars?
They wouldn't take animals, like they would take seeds though.
Like cryogenically frozen.
Yeah. Vegetation.
Yeah.
Although usually the first ones get messed up, the monster or whatever. Because like, they think they're infallible, but it's actually on their ship or something. It's like the first scene we see is, oh, you're not supposed to be in here. We paid for this.
Well, how do you feel about that if that is the game plan? How do you, as a human being, feel about all that? That there's going to be an elite population, elite part of the population that is going to go and populate and live there and continue on, and then the rest of us are going to be left behind.
Vince said, man, I'm about to drive over there.
Come on over, Vince.
As a black man living in America, I feel that it has partially already happened.
It ought to partially be happening?
No, it has already happened. Partially.
Already happened?
Yeah, it's already happened. Just with certain things, you know, with resources, economics, schooling, how there's always like a glass ceiling, and there's certain things. For instance, you have your Michael Jordan, and you have your, I cannot remember this lady's name. I don't believe this.
Oprah Winfrey?
Yes, why can I remember that? You have them, but like the majority, like the masses, are still, there's like a permanent underclass almost, and no matter what we try to do, not blaming white people and stuff like that, but no matter what we try to do, there's always some fuckery laws or some kind of, like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like partially it has already happened because the world has been divided up into the people that create things and the people that use things from the people that create them. And most of us are like consumers, you know, like we don't create anything. You know what I'm saying? So we're just here. But those who create things have the money, have the connections and stuff like that. I feel like they've already separated from society, like at like a certain distance. You know what I mean?
So does it make you more comfortable, or does it like turn back and now irritate you?
Nah, it doesn't irritate me. It's just a harsh reality. You know, like you have to deal with. You know what I mean? So like you have to prepare yourself for it, and whatever way that is, you know, and like whatever resources or like connections you have to prepare yourself for the inevitable. That one day this is not going to be a nice place to live, and you might have to do certain things you might not have wanted to do before in order to survive. You know, so it's just like a harsh reality when you look at it, because you always have the elite, the rich classes up in every country. You know what I mean? And then you always have those people who are constantly protesting, fighting, just trying to live, just trying to get like the basic necessities like clear water to drink. You know what I'm saying? Flush your toilet and shit like that. Go to school with out getting caught up in a drive-by, just simple, basic life things. You know what I'm saying? So like you got to deal with that,
Right.
and so like you're not even focused on the bigger, grand picture that's going on in the world. You know what I mean? And so while we're fighting in the mud about shoes and stuff like that, there's a person that got a microchip that can take over every computer and stuff in the world. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I guess it's like the level of consciousness you're at. You kind of see things up in a different light.
Sure. Through the classes.
I'm depressed.
I'm going to depress you.
I was actually just listening to something the other day about how even like people of any race or background becoming a billionaire automatically kind of displaces themselves from the class below. So we were talking about like Oprah and Michael Jordan and like Jay-Z is like literally a common one where he kind of says some wild stuff, and it's just like you can tell that despite where he came from, anyone that achieves that status is like inherently had to use in some way. Like that's such an unrealistic number to have hit that you have to have had manipulated people along the way, basically. And it's just interesting that people of that class become more class conscious without realizing it. Like they don't realize it until they hit that. So it's almost like they become aware of it after they've already used it. And now that they're in that upper class, now that like, oh, this does exist. Like now that I'm up in the penthouse, like I actually see the floors below, basically. And I just thought that was interesting. Just that concept of anyone that's hit that number is automatically like so above anyone that it doesn't. You literally can't relate. Dang.
Yeah, but was it they that put themselves there, or is it others through their perceptions put that person there?
What do you mean?
What I mean is, yeah, they not automatically, they move to a different whole level, and not necessarily because they choose to do that, they want to do that. It's just like that's the way it is because of the way everybody else perceives a person who has obtained that much power, that much wealth, that much strength, whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't say.
Kind of interesting. Why does Michael Jordan become who he is and seemingly up at this stratosphere that the average person, the common person, can't reach, can't get to, can't? Well, it's not through his own choice necessarily.
Sure.
He didn't choose for it to be that way.
Sure.
Yeah, but
And maybe he didn't know that it was that way.
Well, when certain people see that certain people have potential, they kind of separate those people from their people and put them here. It's kind of like with
it's the people that put them.
Well,
here.
it's certain people. It's kind of like with
right.
college basketball athletes and stuff. It's like they don't let them get involved in like black clubs and stuff like that. So they separate them here and put them on this path. So they're around a certain group of people that's not necessarily from the culture or look like them. But if you can serve the school good by bringing in revenue and playing basketball, I will shield you from the stuff that these students might have to deal with. But I can get you through. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I think it's not necessarily just limited to certain races or groups of people. I think that they do that, they being the school, will do that for that whole group of athletes. And it might be more significant for athletes that are of color or from a different socioeconomic group than the average person. But I think it's all they tend to, if, for example, like when I played basketball in high school, if you didn't hang out with a certain group of people, whether you were black or white, and I went to mostly a white high school back in 1967, but if you didn't hang out with a certain group of people, you were kind of like ostracized from, you were not a part of really the team.
I'll take that paradigm of high school and college athletes, and now add that to the corporate world,
right,
and to the athletes of the day, and,
right,
and like movie stars and stuff of the day. You know what I mean? It's like they always grab them and kind of separate them from them, and then they do what they want to do.
So my personal experience, I spent a lot of time in corporate America. I was 23 years before we opened the store, I spent in corporate America. And for a chunk of that, for half of that time, I was a long-haired, earring-wearing corporate guy, an executive too. And I was treated a little bit differently by the powers to be at Union Carbide, Dow Chemical, Shell Oil, whoever we were doing business with. And but at the same time, because I looked different, talked different, I was heard as well and recognized, and maybe not agreed with, or they probably didn't want their son to look like me or whatever, but they knew who I was and they heard what I said, and it kind of stuck with. So if you're a little bit different, you can use that to your advantage.
Sure.
And there's a way to do that. And I wasn't really conscious of it in the beginning until the guy that owned the company that I worked for told me, said, you know what, when you come into a room and you sit down and you speak, people listen to what you have to say and they remember what you had to say because of the way you look and who you are. And after that, I made sure that I tried to use that to an advantage and be conscious of it, and really not play with it, but use it to an advantage to get through and to get things done. And he was right. So I don't know what the point is there, but how I got on that. But different is being good. Different is good, I think, in a lot of different ways.
If it can be marketed, but even that, I guess, shouldn't be the criteria to be different. Is to, like, sell something. It's good to have a unique idea or angle or something that you can contribute, but sure, I think uniqueness and genuine presence, I guess.
To this day, I like people who are different and unique and walk at the beat of their own drum. I like that. I respect that.
Really quick to revisit that point while I remember the thing. Essentially, what the premise of the billionaire thing was that, like, statistically, almost no person that has achieved that status has ever turned back and, like, I'm done. It's almost like a gambling addiction type thing where it's like, once you achieve that status, you like never look back. So it's like, it's one thing to make a little money, get a little bit of status, have a presence and stuff like that. It was just like, statistically, anyone that's a billionaire is, like, officially unreachable.
I'll respectfully disagree with you because I don't think we know enough about that. We're not there. We haven't been there. I don't know.
Sure.
There may be some people that have totally dropped
there are
out
a couple,
and
sure.
disappeared. And
well, no, that they give back. Like, they realize
there's a lot of people that give back, and we don't know about that. I think there are a lot of people that give back.
I think a huge thing that gets manipulated, though, is charities, because a lot of them get manipulated into like they just keep their own money. It's charities that they just can hide money in, basically.
Or it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And I kinda
So they end up
believe-
making money off of it anyway.
And if you give it to charity, I don't believe it should be a tax write-off. It should be that you gave it to charity. So why should it come off your taxes? So
Well, the fact that it is a tax write-off is an incentive for somebody to give to charity. So more money is given to charity because it is a tax write-off.
yeah, but is that really charity then?
Sure is. What's the tax benefit? The tax benefit is only a percentage of, it's less than the actual money that is given away. So if you give $1 million,
Okay.
let's say, that tax benefit may be 25%, a 25% reduction in your taxable income. You're still giving away 75% money that is not a tax benefit.
Yeah, but
A lot of that doesn't reach the charities, though.
yeah, but like you're expecting.
Well, that's
something.
not the fault of the person that gives it necessarily.
Sure.
Yeah, but like you're expecting something back up on the back end of that. That's not charity.
You're not expecting it. It's there. It provides an incentive for you to do that. I don't think that, I don't know, when I've given money to charity and it's a tax benefit to me, it's like, that's a bonus. That's cool.
Yeah, but some
I would give it
millionaire-
anyway. I would give the money anyway.
But some millionaires and billionaires, they give money away for the tax write-off because they know they're going to get a tax write-off. It's like they don't wake up and be like, you know what, Jesus, God has blessed me, so I'm about to help some poor kids in Africa, so I'm about to send them some money from my heart. But no, they be like, this organization has a tax write-off. I can get this write-off. I can get, like, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's not like they're doing it because it's genuine. They're
A
doing it
sense of
because
community, or like, oh, this whole county's fucked
Yeah.
up from water or lack of education.
No, I don't
or-
agree.
why you say that?
Because I'm an accountant. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that it's still money out of the person's pocket. They're still net giving away more than what they are getting in return.
But you don't think?
Yes, they get a benefit, but it's nowhere near the amount of money that they give away.
But you don't think millionaires and billionaires don't do a tax write-off because, don't give the charity or give the charity because they know that they're going to get some type of incentive for like a tax write-off.
I said it was an incentive, and it is an incentive, but that I do not believe to be always, or even most of the time, the main reason why they do that. At the end of the day, they're going to give the money to a charity that they believe in, hopefully, that they believe in, and that they want to see benefit. Now, the fact that they get an incentive to do so, I think is going to encourage them to give even more than what they would normally give.
But I kind of believe you shouldn't need an incentive to give to charity.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like if
that's a perfect world.
if I give $10 to some homeless charity, they give me a Snickers bar in return. You know what I'm saying? Like, I shouldn't need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I should want to give it because I want to give it.
Absolutely.
But
What if I get
But-
15? Can I get 2 Snickers? Like, that's not charity anymore.
we got is it a question? True giving is when you give with not expecting anything in return.
I'm not saying there's an expectation.
But
I'm arguing the point that there's an expectation. They do it because first and foremost, they want to benefit the charity. They want to see that charity do well. The fact that they get something in return for it is like a bonus and an incentive to do it, and to do it even more, and to do it on a regular basis.
How often do you think that happens? Out of anyone that's achieved, we'll
I
say
don't know.
500 million. I feel like a lot of people have their own charities set up. Like whoever's money that is the so-and-so's foundation to so, it's like, we really don't know where that money goes. Once
Well,
it goes into a charity,
If
I mean,
we
it's
don't
kinda hard to trace
know,
that.
then that's our fault.
A lot of that's obscure, or like obfuscated.
No, charities, all that information is public information. All you have to do is start digging and digging, and you'll get that information.
Sure.
It's public
So a lot
information.
of people find the corruption.
Well, the fact that they're corrupt is not necessarily the fault of the person who donated to the charity.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, back to the
Is that
ethical
not
reason.
the fault of the government for allowing the corruption to exist? They're supposed to monitor that.
Sure.
Or is it the fault of the charity for just not being honest?
Well, it could be the fault of the charity. They're the ones that probably did the wrongdoing in the first place. But the fact that they get away with it, is the government's fault.
Right.
It's our leadership's fault.
I see what you're saying.
And then I'm going to say the fact that we have a corrupt government is our fault. We the people, for the people, by the people. Tear it down.
I can respect that.
Tear it down. If it ain't working, tear the damn thing down.
I can respect that, champion.
Or is the person that donated to have some kind of stock in that company and is making money both ways?
There isn't stock in charitable companies if you're being literal with that question. But if you're saying if they have some vested interest in it, often that there is that. And that's not a good thing. That's not good. And that's probably the fault of the design and the makeup of the charitable organization and the people that run it. You have a board of directors that handle what is going on in a charity, and you have an executive director that is assigned the duties to run the operations on a day-to-day basis, and those people are held accountable to really the community. Who owns a charity? Do you guys know who owns a charity?
Who?
Nobody. The general public owns the charity. There's no stock that you and I can buy to own a part of that charity. It's sanctioned by the government, and usually at a local level, the state. When we formed the Fox Valley Music Foundation down in Aurora to build the venue and operate the venue, we had to register, we had to write articles of incorporation and bylaws, and we had to register that with the state of Illinois, and they had to approve that. And we're also registered with the federal government. We have a tax ID, a not-for-profit tax ID. We don't pay taxes. Nobody owns the Fox Valley Music Foundation. In fact, if the Fox Valley Music Foundation were to end, whatever they have in their coffers, you know, cash in the bank, and maybe they own equipment and own some other stuff, that all has to go to another charity. The people really own charities. Now,
is it the same with funny money?
I'm sorry?
Is that the same with, like, at that same really high level? Because, I mean, this is relatively local. I mean, I'm sure Fox Valley Music Foundation is reputable. I mean, I guess I just wonder when it's so personally vested with that intent that it couldn't be, like, literally just the fact that it goes back to checks and balances, if it actually could be manipulated. I guess not even that it is, it's just the fact that, like, I hope it still has that same level of regulation at that high level, but we don't really know.
And
No, and you know what, we're getting into the whole thing about our government, and
Sure. Literally grinding our goats.
and that's a big conversation and a world in which to dive pretty deep, and I don't know, tear it all down.
burn it down.
I don't mean burn it down, tear it down. I don't like fires.
I
As long as we
think
get the rubble.
you're being naive. Somebody says, hold on. I think you're being naive to say nobody owns the charity.
Technically, nobody owns the charity. There is no stock ownership.
Sure.
But the board of director guides it.
They guide it.
Yeah.
Show me a charity that is owned technically, legally by somebody.
I feel like Bill
Or a
Gates has gotta
group
have
of people or whatever.
But then again, you do find a lot of corruption within charities.
I'm not saying you don't. You have corruption in government, you have corruption in corporate America, you have corruption in not-for-profits, you have corruption within the community on a person-to-person basis.
Corruption within corruption.
It's
It's a vessel to diversify the corruption, basically.
Somebody says, look at churches like Joel Osteen, who is considered a church and is tax exempt.
yeah, what about it?
I got a point.
He was hiding money in the walls, wasn't he? Like, for real, though?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people think churches or religious organizations should not be tax exempt because of the amount of money that they take in.
Good point.
And then,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that either. I mean, but that is something that was started a long time ago, and it would take an act of God to change that.
right.
Yeah,
Not an
man.
act of Congress, an act of God. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that.
Because a lot of
Churches
churches
should
or
be
organizations are
tax
like
exempt.
multi-million, billion, you know what I'm saying?
Which
so it's
again,
like,
regardless
yeah.
of the vessel, at that point
Yeah.
is exactly when you officially forget what you did. Now you're like, I need to preserve this.
Mhm.
How do I?
so the mission statement is thrown out the window, and the only thing you care about is getting your church bigger and getting like more money in.
Wait a minute. You told me not too long ago we had a discussion about the Catholic Church, right? And you said to me, "Look at all the good that they do."
Yeah.
We were talking about religion.
I
and-
said, for instance, as far as the Catholic Church with the pedophilia and the stuff and the 2,000 cases and all the money they spent to try to get the lawyers to try to
Rehabilitation.
right?
cover it up and like molesting little boys and girls, that's totally fucked up.
Yeah,
And then on the other hand, you look at it, you'd be like, this church has the biggest outreach organization of any religious organization in the
Oh,
world.
they be reaching out.
So it's like you look at the good they do, and then you look at the corruption and fucked up shit they do. So do you shut down the whole church because of what the priest did, or do you keep the church open because of how many lives and families that they help from their outreach ministry? So
you get rid of the bad and keep the good.
yeah, but
Ideally,
Not
some-
just in that situation, in any situation.
yeah, but sometimes when you do bad for so long, or you do sin for so long, you become synonymous with the sin. So it's like it's hard to differentiate the Catholic Church from what's good and what's bad. It's a mixing pot of fucked upness. So one week you might read a story about for instance, here up in the Fox Valley area, when people need help with their lights or like with their rent, you can go to, is it St. Vincent de Paul or the Catholic Church and stuff up in this area? They will come to your house, sit down, talk to you, and help you. But then you turn on the news, 15 boys molested by this priest that went from church to church. Church be like, damn, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, what do you do?
You get rid of the bad. Keep the good, get rid of the bad. To make it all good, as good as you can possibly make it.
what does that look like?
Yeah.
What does getting rid of the bad and keeping the good look like?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Sure, I mean, neither of us know. I guess it's
You
just
gotta know, Steve.
No, I don't
neither
know.
of us
I don't know what that
actually
looks
know
like.
What would happen? I guess
What it
it's
looks
just a
like, it
picture.
looks like there is no bad happening. There is no molestation taking place. That's what it looks like to me.
Sure.
If you get rid of the bad and keep the good.
Sure,
Somebody messes up, they're gone.
sure.
Get rid of them.
It
Which
said,
is like a policy within.
the reason I'm so close because I'm trying to read the comments and stuff. It says, still get upset and think of all of the knowledge that's been gone. We gotta find a better way to do this, Steve.
Yeah, we were going to put the computer in.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I
If
can use
you
my
want
phone.
to take your own
Oh, you got your phone?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I just
yeah.
use my own phone.
All right. Dylan, you can read the comments and stuff. Problem solved. You saw that? Problem solved.
So speaking of, I would say that it's more of like a policy thing. If it's something that the organization itself promotes, then it needs to be something at the organization level. It can't be time wasted at an individual level because it's just like anything. They're going to be replaced. It's too slow a process. It needs to be something at the head so that it affects
Across the board.
everything down and in the future. So even just when it comes to like government policy or again like structure within a government or like a religious organization and stuff like that, it's something that like if it's being permitted, let alone promoted, then it's like that needs to be rooted out at the head, like again head. So I think it's kind of like it's a waste of time to go at individual priest level because it's the shell game. Like it doesn't matter.
Right.
So it's the person playing the game and like moving the cuffs. It's like cut that shit up.
You know who Chris Rock is, right? The comedian. He made a joke one time. He said he was
The guy
like,
that beat the crap out of Will Smith. That guy.
yeah, yeah, that guy. He made a joke one time. It was a stand-up, and he said, it's a blessing to be here up in America. He said, everybody that comes here, it's a blessing. Then he said, even black people that came here, got to be thankful. And the crowd was like, And Chris said, it's kind of like your uncle that paid for you to go through college, but he molested you at the same time. So I was like, so that's kind of like with the Catholic Church thing, they do all this good in the community, but then you get priests running amok for like 60 years plus and nothing's done about it. You know what I mean?
So what would you have done? Would you get rid of the whole Catholic Church? And by the way, I'm not religious. I am not a follower of any religion. I'm spiritual, but I am not a follower of religion. I don't like organized religion, but that's me.
All right.
That doesn't mean that it's not good for somebody else. And I'm not going to pass judgment on somebody else who is a follower of a religion. I'm not.
This is what I would have done personally. I'm a Muslim. I converted in 1993, right? And our teachings might sound a little harsh, but we're taught that if a man rapes a woman, you should take his head. So all those Catholic priests that raped the little girls and boys, I would bring them out in public and take their head one by one and let this be a warning to any other people or person that tried to violate the sanctity of a little child. This is the warning. So that's what I would have did. And then at the top level, I would have removed all of the people who knew what was going on and meticulously moved priests from one church to another church when you knew this priest had a troubled past and
Absolutely.
like you knew what he was doing, you got to go too. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Get rid of the problem.
So I would get rid of them, and then the priests, we would deal with them.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just got to
So that's
acknowledge
what I would
Vince
do.
Green going off.
All right. What did he
We
say?
appreciate it.
What's that?
So Vince.
Why aren't you here, Vince?
We might need him. So basically talking about how churches make more money than Silicon Valley. The Catholic Church is notified that about wars in every nation. Just the fact that like they're in, they just have awareness of that. Omniscience. It's kind of weird. Talking about how when they burned down the Library of Alexandria, a heist to get all the stuff, and essentially they still have a lot of that knowledge, and it's not accessible to public. Yeah, obviously, quote of the night, tear it down. So yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, so I feel like that should be the the penalty should be death when you violate a woman, and if you violate a kid in that manner, your penalty.
Proven. Because I think there's also that slippery slope area where it's like, obviously it's been confirmed.
If it's proven, confirmed, stamped 100%,
due trial.
When you violate a woman or a child in that manner, it ain't no court date. It ain't no going to jail for 5 years. It ain't no court date and appeals. Take that motherfucker's head off and then give it to his family. That's how I feel that we should deal with pedophiles and rapists and people like that. Talk that shit. So that's I don't know, like that's just me because I'm very strong about that and stuff. So I just feel like that should be it. Because for instance, a person rapes a woman, he goes to jail. He's in jail. He's in jail for 6 years. Then he got a court date, then another court date, and then another court date. And I just read something.
So it's messed up, isn't it?
It's messed up. And then
why don't we change that?
We should. And like I just read something that a woman that had stabbed a man that had her doing what you call it, the trafficking, sex trafficking, sex trafficking. He stabbed a man and killed him. She went to court. The court makes her pay the man's family restitution because she killed him. What kind of bullshit is that?
I know.
They should take her out and feed her a steak dinner and give her a goddamn award. You know what I'm saying? But that's the type of crazy stuff that's going on. And then now they got laws that if a man rapes a woman and she gives birth to the baby, he has rights to see the baby. What kind of shit is that? You know what I'm saying? It's just like stuff like that. Nah, man. Take you out to the back and chop, chop, chop. Pork chop. That's the only pork chops we eat. Poke, chop, you know what I'm saying? So I just feel that.
Yeah, this we the people by the people really has gotten us a long way. Got us in good. We're doing good here. We the people, for the people, by the people.
What else you got, Brandon?
Well, we're lagging a little bit, so. Nothing too much. Just talking about the knowledge stuff. Still in the church.
And
I would. I'm somewhere. I'm like 85% to you. Yeah, I think when it comes to like, I hold like autonomy pretty damn high. Like freedom to exist and travel. I think any human should have that right, and I think in any way if that's imposed upon, whether it's like a minor, static, passive thing, it's like that should still be addressed. It's like so let alone something as extreme and personal and like intentful as like a blatant rape or something like that. For sure, I think. Yeah. And I hate to play devil's advocate because in general, like, yes, that needs to be very seriously addressed. But I think that there are, in general, some caveats of, like, when it comes to, like a mental illness. Like, if someone is not in their right mind, would that call for more of an institutionalized thing? Or would you still, like, murder someone who doesn't know what they're doing type thing?
Listen, even as a person is mentally ill, you're still responsible for their actions. You know, so you can be like, we diagnose this person has this, okay, we could put this person up in an institution. But sooner or later, that person is going to get out of that institution. Now, if that person repeats that same crime, we're going to put them back up in the institution again?
Sure.
Nah, son. We take their head off. So I'm not saying, you know, if a person is mentally ill, like they should be killed. Like, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there comes a point in time where sometimes shit is just not rehabilitable. You know what I'm saying?
Rehabilitated.
Yeah, like, for instance, a person that rapes a person, you going to rehabilitate this person? You know what I'm saying?
I guess they prove that they're not rehabilitatable.
And then,
however you say
and then And then like the thing is, when a woman is raped, you know what I'm saying, you take something from her that like only God can give back to her. And then most women who are violated like that, like they don't even like to come forth and tell people,
Sure.
because it's a stigma attached to it. And then they're questioned like, you know, like they're a slut or something. You know what I'm saying?
It's a huge problem.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like they got to deal with the physical and mental trauma of it, and then they got to deal with the people looking at them, police asking them all these embarrassing questions, and then when they go to court, they got to describe what happened again. So it's like they got to relive the trauma, then relive the trauma again.
We're also assuming these are women.
Yes.
Like we're assuming that these
Yes.
are like this is a man on woman.
Yes. Yes.
So even that is.
Yeah. And then, you know, like you got the dude in court who might go to jail and he might not go to jail. Nah, son, he got to be dealt with. Hands got to be put on this dude. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, yeah, some things, you know, I don't believe you need a court case for 6 months. You don't need rehabilitation and laws to be written. You just need death. You just need death. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but in the case, let's say a person is mentally ill.
But to get to that point, you got to tear it all down.
Tear it all down.
You do, because our legal system is such that it allows for those things to happen.
Sure.
For it to take a long time.
There's also a lot of failure on the health field to even address stuff like that. So
Somebody actually did like you cut your hair.
Don't they?
Trying to solve the problems of the world, you asked about a haircut.
I'm not saying that.
It says from Vince Brandon, do you cut your hair? I think you did my wife's hair, Cassandra. Cassie.
Oh shit! No way! Yeah, Cassie Green. No way. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes. You probably, if you did see me, yeah, I probably had some. That's wild. All right. Hopefully, I keep a client today.
Making connections and solving the problems of the world. There you go.
Trying.
Now, but back to the knowledge about the Catholic Church and all that. It's not just the Catholic Church, it's also museums around the world.
Microphones get fractured. Dalai Lama, Ramadama, black nationalists.
I want us to read her comment. Her name is Sandy. So if you see her comment on there, can you please read it?
Absolutely.
About to get beat up in here.
Yeah, so we were in the middle of talking. So Sandy also said, also if she's raped and has an abortion, the rapist family can sue her. No, it's not murder, it's restitution. And someone who can commit rape is mentally unstable. So, yeah, I would agree that, yeah, someone who would commit rape is mentally unstable. That's not a very sane or healthy act, for sure. And I guess if there's obviously a fire, there should be an oily rag somewhere. So I'm not necessarily saying that you can be sane and justified in doing that. I'm saying that I guess there are ways to have prevented someone being in a situation where they would view that as a thing. And I think there are degrees. There's absolutely someone who does not have autonomy. Like literally, even legally, like they can't take care of themselves. They need someone to keep living. And I think that's a whole different, like, ego of mice and men type thing for sure. And I think that there's a gray area of like growing up in abuse and seeing that as like a twisted form of communication. And again, I'm not saying it's justified. It's just trying to understand how someone got there and what we can do to prevent people from being in that situation. Because it's going to help everyone. You know, healthier people and less rape. So awesome.
Steve?
What?
I don't know. I want to say something.
I'm just taking it all in right now.
Whew.
It's breaking it all down, tearing it apart, and redesigning it.
Hi, Cassie. It's nice to see you.
That's what it is.
Hopefully I see you soon.
Eye for an eye. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Those are all.
Nicole said, "Turn off your ringer when you go live."
Nicole's such a hater. What's wrong with
Did you have your ringer on?
Yeah, the phone. You know,
Oh,
because if I turn it down, I'm scared that well, sometimes you can turn it down. I think Nicole said this doesn't happen, but I believe when you turn down the volume, that affects if we speak.
how it picks it up.
Yeah, but she says
Yeah.
it doesn't do that, so maybe it doesn't. But I think
It's
like
not
that's
supposed to, but
It's
like
still
with
a
the
thing,
microphone. So
Sure.
I'm thinking that when I turn down that it lowers the mic volume, but I could be wrong.
yeah.
But back to
All
what
right.
what somebody said about the Catholic Church and all of their knowledge and stuff that they've stolen from other
Mhm.
places. It's not just the Catholic Church; it's the museums of the world. When you go to a museum in London or
England in general.
or England or even up in Chicago or Dallas, these museums are basically houses that have stolen artifacts from around the world, and they're placed there. So you're looking at a looted house. And now African countries and like Caribbean countries are protesting and saying that we want our shit back. Because like you got stuff from Ethiopia, stuff from South America, gold from here, and like these countries just saying you got this stuff in a museum, but you
Without
actually
permission.
yeah, and
Like these aren't like a dead civilization. Like we still exist, and you have our ancestors'
Yep.
stuff. Can we have it back?
and like you obtain this stuff when you colonize and raped a country, you stole our shit, and now we want our shit back. So when you go to a museum and they got a dead mummy up there, be like, man, come on, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just like, shit just crazy to me. You go out there, this is from Egypt, and this is the mummy, and this is the gold chain and all that. Yeah, but that belongs in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And you parading it all across the world and shit. Like, that shit ain't right, you know? Like, you need to give them people, like, their stuff back. And so, like, a lot of countries are saying, like, we want our stuff back now. And, like, the Catholic Church is notorious because they get, like, you know, like, they might even have a real picture of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got so much deep shit down there that nobody sees, but just the privileged few. So, I don't know what you do.
Quick bookmark. Just want to say, Nicole, no, you were not being a hater. You were absolutely being helpful. Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, the more knowledge, the more communication.
Don't
the
side
more
with
we
her.
Understand.
You don't know her like that. Don't side with her.
I don't. So I am remaining as neutral as I organically am. All right, we got more from. All right, we got facts from Vince. He's like, right, but I'm saying the books that were in Alexandria when they burned down those libraries, they burned them on purpose because it was a heist and they stole all that knowledge from those libraries in Alexandria and they had them at the Vatican. And you cannot go down there to see them or they will kill you. Which, yeah, in general, like holding knowledge hostage. So we had a talk like that before when we were talking about government leaks. So
Is it good or
that's
bad?
so we're kind of switching over to it in general ties in because should people be privy to knowledge? And that's also a very nuanced conversation. I think I kind of have a hot take in the sense that I'm very pro information leak. Like anytime anything leaks from the government, regardless of kind of what happens.
But what if it puts somebody in danger that it leaked? You know what I mean?
You can't handle the goddamn truth.
I don't think that's for anyone to decide, though. I think
Yeah, it is.
But let's say like there's a op or a mission or something going on, or some people are
sure.
undercover or something. Then like I leak some shit to WikiLeaks and they put it out, and Brandon's up in Brazil and his real name is this, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? They kind of put you in danger. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think that also we can kind of split that off from, is that even a justified mission? So we could take that as like a war on drugs type
It's not
thing.
for
if we
you
have a
to
bunch of
decide.
things. This is
As an
this is
individual,
true.
it's not for you to decide. It's for your leadership to decide.
Sure.
You don't have.
If you have trusted leadership, yes, I think that you should.
Well,
It's
if you don't, then tear it down.
sure, which is I think why part of me is as small as I am in the scale of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of get a little happy when I get some information I'm not supposed to know. Like honestly.
But do you think everybody should have certain information?
I think the reasons that I think we're going into why someone shouldn't have that type of information, there are ways to have mitigated that. I think, I don't want to assume, but short answer, kind of yeah. Yeah, I think anyone should be able to access what they want to know.
I don't know about that.
I don't agree.
And I'm with free information and all that, but it's like, for instance, this is sound really fucked up.
No, sure it is.
And really racist. I'm a Muslim. I don't think I'm not gonna say. For instance, if
No, true. And actually, I do have a caveat to this. So let me say something real quick. Yeah.
I don't want just anybody
Concise
to
then.
know
I think
why I
you
do
as
what I
an
do.
individual have access to your own privacy. You have a choice to not tell someone something.
Right.
You have access to your own privacy. I think if you are in any situation where you are in charge of multiple people or the head of something, you do have a right to be transparent.
But on the other hand, you're saying that you have the right to know, or it's okay for you to know. What might be is for you not to know.
Sure, but it's up to me to do with that knowledge what I want. If I am choosing to
No, it's not.
How so?
You don't have a.
What gives
It's not your
someone else the
knowledge
right
to
to
know.
choose what I am don't have access to? Other than like, we're not talking about like private property or anything like that. We're just like
No,
information.
what are you talking about? You're just talking about
Information.
information in general?
Yes.
Well, you don't have the right to know just any information in general. You got to start limiting that kind of thing. You don't have the right to know necessarily what he owns, what I own.
Sure, that's private information. Yeah, I would not. Yeah,
No.
that is you're allowed to have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we're
what
talking
is
about
private? What is public?
up? We're talking about information up.
Up from where?
Just in general, like
So what
So
the government
charities, let's
knows,
start at
what the
charities.
government is doing relative to a possible or potential invasion, and that information, you said that you appreciate, enjoy, and want to know about informational leaks.
yeah, so that we can be aware of what's going on and we can handle that properly as the people that are being represented doing those actions. And I think if in our case,
So if
one
we're
of,
going to
like, the most
invade, we're going to
free-
invade Russia. That is something that we as a country or our government, our military is going to invade Russia. That is something that you think you should know?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Why would you not want to know that?
Because then Russia will know it.
Russia already knows it.
No, they don't know it. They don't know when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, why we're going to do it.
That's
But
a
if you
type
leak
of
that,
tech war that we don't even know what's going on. There are things that have been so subtly and subconsciously done and are so well coordinated that we don't know that game. To say that Russia doesn't know is like, that's insane. We have no idea what that information war.
And then the point is too is like
they don't know the details.
Sure, but
And then if those details get leaked and you know them, I know them, Brandy knows them, everybody knows them here.
I'm selling secrets.
sure.
I'm joking.
And hey, that's if that's a market to be dug into, if that's what you need to do in that paradigm, then sure, I guess. But like,
it's like, do you trust your government enough to withhold information for you and do things in the best interest of the people.
You need to get to the point where you do trust your government.
Sure.
Or
We need to be at that.
And there's only one way to do that.
Or do you not trust your government because you know they are just not fucking trustworthy, and they have a documented history of not being trustworthy?
Well, then tear it down.
So it's like,
I think this is a step to doing that, because if people were aware of what was going on, then one, I think more people would realize that we're one of the most empirically driven countries in the world. Like, people forget about that. It's like, no, we antagonize everyone, and well, that's the way things are. It's like, no, we have agency over that, and especially if we don't, then we should be fighting for it. Because it's like, if we are being representatives doing something around the world, then yeah, it's at the very least, I'd like to know my reputation. At the most, it's like, yeah, if I want to know that there's a reason that I should be going to fight for something, then, like, even on my own turf, or like representing a cause, or seeing an opportune time for action, basically, or protest or something like that, or anything, I should be able to know what I want to fight for, and if I want to fight for it.
but that's one of the things, because most people who are in the military, who are in theaters of war, they don't even know why they're there.
Well, it's because we take a bunch of kids
They
and
don't even know why
pay
they're
their
fighting.
college scholarships.
You know? So it's like, do I really tell this soldier the truth that we're really trying to steal some oil? You know, like, really still go fight and, you know, try to build water for people?
And then would they have the Charlie Sheen platoon moment, like, oh God, why am I doing this?
You know, so it's like, what is war good for, Steve?
Wow.
Say it again.
Nothing. So it's like,
Absolutely
nothing. So it's like, who do you trust? Who do you trust?
It would be
Talk
nice
shit.
to live in a world in which wars did not exist. It would be great. Fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure if that's ever going to be possible. But
Well, if you're not sure that it's ever going to be possible, then wars are necessary.
Yeah, I think some wars are
I think,
necessary.
conflict is unavoidable, I would say.
It's inevitable.
Are they necessary?
I wouldn't say that.
If they are never going, if
It's
you're
almost like
never
a
going to
human
get to the
nature
point
thing.
where wars do not exist, then
What do you define as a war? Because I think conflict and points of difference are always going to happen. We're such a mixed bunch, that's always going to happen. I think to the degree that we take it, should not exist.
I think war is when bloodshed happens. When bloodshed happens, it's like, look, fuck your country. No, fuck your country.
so
Yeah, I
Ukraine
think that's
right
a
now
war.
is a war.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you think that is never ever going to happen again?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I mean,
Does that mean that they're necessary?
Well,
no.
it's like, would you tell?
Do we need to be prepared for that to happen again?
I mean, I was in like the movie, was it Thor Ragnarok? Not Ragnarok, one of the Thor movies. You know, his dad is a king, and like his dad said, which was deep, he said, a king never seeks out war, but he's always prepared for it.
We were talking
So,
about
so countries should,
So yes, you need to be prepared
the
for it.
country should be prepared for it to a certain extent. But when you have, goddamn, the whole budget of the whole country based on war, and you can't find teachers up in the classroom, that's kind of a problem, because now we don't have enough teachers to teach kids. Kids are growing up dumb, but we got smart missiles that can go from Colorado and hit the popcorn here. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of, what are we doing here? You know?
I saw a thing recently that was pointing out how in the news, when it talks about defense budget and war spendings, they specifically shorten it. So it's like 3.2 trillion, and they just say like trillion. But anytime it's like spending it's something that they don't deem necessary, they will put out all the zeros. Like, look at how big this number is. 3 billion, that's a lot. It's like, Yeah, but you just said 3.2 trill for the war, and it's like we don't think about it.
Huh. Something to think about.
So even phrasing, and like there are a lot of levels where, yeah, we're just, it's mitigated. It's not, we're just, let me stand that corner off for you. Here's like a little, it's perfectly round. You don't got to worry about, you're not going to hurt yourself. You play with that. So, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Choose the phrasing.
Now we talk about war, now we have to bring it back to the local level. Everybody think that there's something inevitable is going to happen, like January 6th again, with the Trump and the politics, and if he elected or not elected and stuff like that. So it's now you have people who are stockpiling guns, and gun sales have gone through the roof, and so people are really scared and frightened. So it's like they don't wish anything bad to happen, but they have to prepare in order to like protect their families. And now it's almost like they're talking about with the new Illinois crime bill law or whatever, like the purge is coming, so people are all scared and stuff. So it's like, what do you do? It's like in a civilized, realistic world, we wouldn't have to worry about that. For instance, my mom told me when she was a child, they used to leave the doors unlocked and they would go up on the yard and sleep. The kids just sleep outside in like the little tents and stuff. Can't do that shit today. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like times have changed so much now. It's like we're almost up in a mindset of constant survival mode because we don't know what's going to happen. We might go to the movie theater, there's a shooting. Go to the grocery store, there's a shooting. You know,
general level of anxiety is
yeah,
like up
and
to
it's always high. And it's like there's one hot point, then there's another hot point. This week, the dude goes into the store, shoots a bunch of black people. Next week, the gay club gets shot up. Next week, it's just constant flashpoints that just keep you on edge. So you really don't have time to even act like a normal human being because you're always up on alert. Like anywhere you go now, it's like you're always up on alert.
Again, that's also a thing specific to our country. Again, that's not something the world like
It's here.
Yeah, that's literally just us. That's our backyard. So like, yeah, that's something we could probably figure out why that's happening and maybe reallocate funds and attention and build up workforce a little better and educate the public a little better and feed people right. Like, I don't know.
Treat people right. Because I think as long as people are in panic mode, it's like you can't think straight. And America is constantly in panic mode. We're constantly panicking.
Some people are kept in more panic mode.
Yeah. North Korea launched off some missiles. Panic mode. You know what I'm saying? The U.S. did this panic mode. So it's like we can't just operate normally.
Sandy, talking about people in power want to keep us there so they can take money off of guns and bullets. The NRA is another thing that's taxed guns. Like, oh yeah, that's another point of discontent, I guess. It's, yeah, NRA. But it's, again, they're tied in with power.
Moving to Montana.
Oh no!
I heard recently you can Montana specifically.
Going to be a dental floss tycoon.
They were talking about how in Montana they let you sign up for residency if you travel. So if you're someone who legally doesn't like have a residency and you just travel in like a van or a small thing, you can actually like, Montana allows you to. Yeah, you can say liquor. I'm like, oh dang! So shout out to Montana. If it was Montana, I think that was correct.
It all boils down to too many people on a planet.
You sound like Thanos.
There's too many people on the
Balanced
planet.
as it should be. Good people
It's
and
too
good
crowded.
people.
It's too freaking crowded.
Yeah.
So what you're saying? Some people need to get got. Some people need to go. Process of elimination.
I'm just saying there's too many people on the planet.
Why would
You said
do
it
that?
earlier that things are finite, right?
Yeah.
So imagine in 25 years, Brandy, when there's 15 billion people and not 8 billion. There's 15 billion people on the planet.
World's full of
Where's the
weed.
natural resources going to be? Where's the food going to come?
You can go to the hotel
Where's
and
the
get a
fish? Where's the fish in the ocean going to be?
like you can go to the moon and get a hotel.
No, the 1% is going to be able to go to the moon
True.
and get a hotel.
But things are finite. But things could be better if those in power and corporations, because things don't have to be the way they are. Things are like the way they are because they want them to be
It's a
a
direct
certain
symptom.
way. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
a symptom of what's happening.
It's a direct
Okay.
symptom of greed. You know what I'm saying? For instance,
So why
And,
do people buy from Amazon?
because it's convenient, and it's
And
also
do they not
addictive.
realize that they're feeding the evil empire?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that do consciously not. I mean, a lot of people follow
No,
the
there
trend.
are some people, right, that I don't know about a lot.
No,
A
I'd
lot
say
is
being cautious
relative. I
where
think
your dollar goes.
It's convenient and it's really addictive. Kind of like Walmart. When Walmart comes into a city, I read.
They lead attention there. Like,
I forgot it was this report where like any place they go in the surrounding area, the mom and pop stores usually go out of business within 1 to 3 years because they can't compete with the prices at Walmart. You know, so let's say I have a hardware store 2 miles from Walmart. I'm not surviving. You know what I'm saying? But I shop at Walmart. Everybody else shops at Walmart because it's so fucking convenient and you can get everything there. But even though we know Walmart is probably killing its mom and pop store. You know what I'm saying? For instance, Walmart sell records now. But let's say Walmart did this. They had a Walmart records only store. You know how many people would be like, oh yeah, let's go to Walmart. Kiss this guy's been here for goddamn 30 years. You know what I'm saying? But that's just a mind state because they have it. It has to be better. You know what I'm saying? And that's the mind state.
I'm not gonna lie, I own a Garth Brooks record. I'm sorry to see that. I can only get it Walmart. It's $12 I had to.
But it's kind of like the ISIS quarter here because they have a flashier sign. But we've been here for 20, 30 years and you just act like we ain't shit. You know what I'm saying?
So part of that is advertising. And again, just because the product of like why do people shop at Amazon is because sometimes they're made to shop at Amazon. They've been coerced to shop at Amazon.
It's almost like you think you have a choice, kind of like with the magicians and cards and stuff, but you really don't have a choice because they lead you to like the card you pick. And then when you open up your phone, there's an ad for Amazon. You get on your computer, there's an ad for Amazon. You go to Facebook, there's an ad for Amazon. So sooner or later, you're shopping at Amazon.
Mary's grocery store does not have the.
you know what? It's
capacity.
it's education.
Yeah, exactly.
It boils down to
It keeps going.
education. A lot of our problems boil down to education. I think if people knew,
I don't know, Steve.
to an extent, if people knew the impacts.
If people had the information,
They don't need all the information. I don't
inclined.
agree with you on
Sure, I know.
the leaks because of military strategy and stuff like that. That's
Sure.
stuff that,
Okay, so aside from military, we'll go consumer.
well, there's
if they
there's
knew
other things,
what
but
brands, where their money actually was allocated and what they spent their dollar on, then they might be more inclined.
but you
to-
have the ability to find that out. With the World Wide
Luckily, yeah.
Web, you have the ability to
Sure.
find a lot of that information out.
Sure, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing to a great extent. But education is the key.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Not the availability of information necessarily, but be providing the education and being explained to, being taught.
I don't know. Steve.
Why?
When I was growing up, they used to say, you know, racism is because people aren't educated. Once they get educated, you know, they will see things differently. Some people are educated to know and just don't give a fuck, Steve.
No. Our education is not right, Brandy.
Well, like I know the education.
How
isn't
do
right.
we not know about Tulsa? How did we not know about Tulsa? Because we were not informed about it. We were not educated about it.
No, but I'm saying I know the education is not right, but those who are educated, some of these people just don't care. You know?
Well,
You know what I mean?
I don't care about the minority that doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I want the majority of people to care.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by providing education to everybody, we'll get closer and closer and closer to the majority really caring. And the majority, I think people are good, basically, in their hearts. We're basically good. But we need to be encouraged to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. What you got, sir?
Vince said Thanos was right. Sandy said, I had to Google Thanos. I figured he was some great historical figure.
You know who Thanos is, Steve, or not? No.
He's the guy from Florida.
No. No, it's a Marvel character. Some say he's a villain, some say he's not. But his goal in life...
He's a villain.
He's a villain.
Just in that
Marvel?
one story
Yeah,
arc.
yeah, Marvel.
Yeah.
The comic books and stuff.
Well, it's modern Marvel, right? Because
Yeah.
I go back to the Fantastic Four and that kind of...
Yeah, he's there.
80, 84.
And so his goal in life were to acquire these things called Infinity Stones and put them up in his glove. And so when he snapped, half of the population in the whole universe would disappear. Because he was
Unbiasedly. So that's his whole
unbiasedly.
thing,
So
regardless of the power.
So it might be like
his whole
1,
thing is
2,
like,
Yeah, it's
gone.
random
1, 2, gone.
kind of thing.
Yeah, so according to him, this was mercy because the resources in the universe were finite.
Right.
And we were running out of resources. So this is mercy to eliminate half of the population up in the cosmos in order to save life. And some people think that he was right. You know what I'm saying?
That's an extreme, right? That's
It-
when it gets to the extreme. And I'm not going to say whether
Mhm.
we're there now or not. That's a whole nother discussion. But there are things that we can do to de-emphasize, to de-incent people to have 4, 5, 10 children.
Mhm.
Sure. And generally,
As
people
an
lead
example,
more
here in the
content
United
lives.
States,
They don't want to have children.
we get a tax deduction for every child that we have, right? So the more children you have, the more exemptions you have, the lower your tax bill. Why not provide a penalty after a certain number of children where you start losing your tax exemptions?
I don't think that's right, Steve. You telling people that they can't have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the adults of the house, and we literally can't feed anymore.
That's too much like draconian laws, or like the laws in China.
We're not
the
saying-
penalties.
We're not saying abortions, and we're not saying that.
But
Provide
that's where it's going to lead to.
provide
though.
an incentive to not have too many kids.
Yeah. Again, you don't have to not. Again, saying no.
Mm.
Yeah, I do not agree with only 2 children and then we're done, because again, that's a force. I think it's to be, because that's something has a direct cause on the entire world.
Mhm.
You are contributing to a thing that, as a conscious adult, you have a choice to. Again, it's like choosing Amazon every time when you now know what it does, type thing. Because that doesn't mean you can't have children. It doesn't mean you can't even
So you
have
don't-
sex.
so
It's
you
just
don't have a child, you get $4,000 or something. Tax.
If you don't have children, you don't get an exemption.
just neutral.
It's
Just
just
a draw.
it's just a neutral
Call it
thing.
draw.
You have 1 child, you get $1,000 exemption. You have 2, you get 1,000 per.
We do
You
need
have
children.
3,
We
you
do
go
need
back to
children.
only getting 1. You have 4, you get 0.
I would actually, I would agree with that. There's a ratio of personal investment of I am choosing to want this because this is what my life is. This is how I envisioned it, regardless of me acknowledging the effect it has on my community. Sure, it doesn't mean we're gonna stop you from doing that, but
I don't think people wake up and say, I want to have a baby because I want to get a tax exemption, You know what I mean? Like, this kind of like saying, this is your reward, but like,
I'm not saying that they do that.
but that's what it sounds like.
No.
I'm one of 5 children from 4 fathers, and I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and speak on this one.
Well, what it does say is that they might go.
I'm the oldest too, so
Well, I don't
it's
think
like I've
I'm
seen
going
it
to
all
have that
happen.
third.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, no, people kind of do that sometimes.
I may not have that third because I'm going to lose an exemption.
Yeah, that's. So you base it if you want to have a child because you might not get a tax exemption? You think that's right?
No, what I think is right is, look, we're providing a incentive to not have too many children because we want to save the planet. We've
There's a
got
greater
too many
cause to
people.
fight
We've
for.
got too many people on the planet now as it is.
Yeah.
And
There's a
rather
record die
than
on
get
them.
it real extreme and start chopping heads and getting rid of people, we're going to provide a incentive to not have so many children. So maybe the curve starts slowing down and it gets better.
Or again, I'm pretty sure in other
And I
countries
agree
where
with
they have
you.
better health system and education and entertainment,
With
they don't have
Certain crimes, knock the sucker's head off. Get rid of them. That's going to cut back on the population issue. I personally don't care for putting somebody in prison and having them spend 50 years in prison while we pay for that person to be in prison.
Yeah, that's literally
I
legal
don't
slavery.
agree with
That's one of
that.
the few modern versions of. Yeah, absolutely. I totally
I
acknowledge that.
don't. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't think our rehabilitation system is very good. What is the percentage of people that spend time in jail that come out and commit a crime again? It's high.
It's high.
It's very high. I don't know what the exact number is, but I'm led to believe that it's in the 50 to 75 percentile.
Is that their fault or is that the system? That
Well, I don't know, but it is a problem.
Right.
So I don't agree. Fix it. Fix it.
So the thing about the population, I disagree with that because when it comes to population control, it always settles on black people and brown nations.
No, it doesn't.
It
Ideally,
does.
if it
Brandy,
didn't,
there's white people having 10 kids because they have farms
No.
and they need them to work the farm. I don't know what it is.
I know that, but I'm saying when you start talking population control, the needle points towards black and brown people and black and brown nations where there have been some forms of population control already started or etched and stuff. So I'm
talking about us here in the United States. What we can do to kind of start slowing things down a little bit. We can provide a little bit of incentive to slow it down. And it doesn't matter who you are, what color you are.
So are you saying, because again, this is like an idealization. This isn't real. But I mean, so are you still kind of putting this in the context of, well, if that was the rule in modern days starting tomorrow, obviously I would agree that that's going to be abused by the powers already in play. But if there was a way that it was organized where it's like, no, it applies to everyone. It will be monitored to where there is no like eugenics in play where we're like.
When have you known in the history of the United
I
States
know.
that has ever been?
It's a baby ass country.
You know what I'm
so
saying?
like again, we're talking about 300 years, which is like sure we've got a couple of shitty things under our belt in 300 years. We're not looking good with the start that we had. But again, that's like
so it's like I just can trust it.
sure.
I just can trust it.
Sure.
Unless I ran.
If you could imagine, not true. So again, if it totally was like, regular.
Oh shit!
Oh dang, your phone died.
It's about. Hold on. Let's get us back. All right.
We got him.
Hold on.
Okay, we're live.
Hold on. Let me get my charger. That was the government trying to take us out, Steve.
Rip.
Yeah, they're not liking what we're talking about. We're talking shit. They don't like the shit we're talking
Talk that shit. Talk that shit.
Take a ride home. Someone slashed my tires.
Like damn.
No, I'm just kidding. So
All right,
if you
There
could
you go.
prove that it was being evenly distributed, anyone in the world, if you have more than 2 kids, which again is enough to replace you and your partner, anything past that is on you.
It's got to be evenly distributed.
Even if it wasn't. I know.
We
That
gotta.
it can easily
We
be
gotta
abused.
fix this shit.
But if it
That's what
wasn't,
we ought to change the name of the show to. Fix this shit.
Fix this shit.
We gotta fix the shit.
well, yeah, it's talking about the shit's not gonna.
And I'm just
fix
giving
this shit.
giving you a little idea or opinion on how I think we can fix the population shit a little bit.
If you are watching, can you say something? Because y'all are really quiet. Let us know you're out there. Somebody say something. Sandy or somebody.
Vince,
So I wonder if
How
things
come you're
are
not here?
still. Or did I get rid of the comment somehow or no?
they probably dropped us.
Ooh, nope, don't want to do that.
Vince said, "What's up?"
Okay,
What's
cool.
up? Okay, good.
I just can't see him. What?
Thanks for watching, Vince.
Yeah,
Can somebody say something?
there's some bubbly things.
Some bubblies. Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, we got a bunch of lights.
Um,
I'm gonna throw one in too.
it's a bigger problem than what we're capable of providing solutions to.
So
But
burn it down.
Well, it doesn't mean someone else doesn't know the answer, though. So the more we talk about it, someone else could be like, "Oh,
Well,
hey, I actually have an idea."
right, it's food for thought.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
We gotta share it with the community. Potluck.
Yeah, we're painting a picture of that things are pretty messed up, and
And you know when you say is overpopulation and we don't have enough resources, but the thing is we could have enough resources if certain people would act right.
There was be more efficient.
I subscribe to the notion that there's a fixed amount of natural resources on the planet. Some things are renewable and some things are not.
Right.
And the bigger we get in terms of population, the more those things that are not renewable become an issue and a problem. Yeah, fresh water is certainly renewable, right? Because it rains. And but is it really? The more people we have, the more water gets consumed, and that changes the climate. The climate change affects how much it rains and how much gets collected and how much the
Where it
lakes fill
goes,
up.
yeah.
Where it goes. A lot of it goes into the ground that maybe goes into aquifers and maybe not. I don't know. It's very complicated, but it sure seems like our natural resources are diminishing as time goes
They
on.
are diminishing, but at the same time they're being hoarded. Because for instance, what happened in Flint, that was a conscious decision to gonna stop this water and give y'all that water. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like there's certain things that certain people are doing that are in charge of the resources and like how they're allocated to the
It could be both.
to the populace, and you know what I mean. It's just it's not truthfulness. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like
Well, yeah, there are some things happening, but I don't know how much that accounts for the diminishing of the natural resources. I don't know.
Yeah, start saying like places like Colorado, it's literally their rivers are drying up, but businesses are still promising that like, oh yeah, no, we'll find water. Don't worry about just build the thing and we'll find the water later. It's like, no, you don't have the supply to even be doing that. So it's kind of like both. Like nothing is going to bring back water to that area, but also they shouldn't be making promises that they, and places like Nestle shouldn't be like
just
buying water and owning water. And even like Bill Gates is a common example when people start talking about food because he's working on industrializing food, which is wild. He's literally going like,
buying
eat
tons
your
of land.
vitamin paste. Like that's where that's going.
Synthetic meat.
Which is why they've been phasing out a lot of Impossible burgers and all this Impossible stuff. It's literally due to them like shifting into more sustainable means of production as opposed to actual health options.
I heard a scientist on NPR. He said, with the weather like it is, with climate warming, climate change, and stuff like that, they're going to have to start genetically modifying certain types of plant to be able to survive harsh weather.
Mm-hmm.
So he said almost all of the food at one point or another will have to be probably modified to survive the new climate.
Yeah.
The future.
Yeah, the future, because it's too hot. So you want a plant that can survive that. So they gotta modify it some.
And it depends upon how quickly the warming takes place and happens.
Mm-hmm.
If it was over a slower period of time, plants could naturally adjust. Most plants now, but they would naturally adjust to the warming trend. But when it starts,
like parabolically, yeah,
Right.
it's going off a cliff.
right, we need to slow it down. Are we past the point of no return? Some people think yes. Some scientists think we are.
So,
But that doesn't mean that we got to stop trying to reverse the trend. We need to reverse the trend.
Hotel on the moon, Steve.
Yeah, well, you and I won't be around to see it, right?
Hey,
Probably.
hey, I'm going.
50 years earlier, they brought rocks back. And it's been 50 years. Now another 50 years?
That was
I don't know.
Stanley Kubrick. That was a different. That was different.
You're gonna put a
2001.
Hilton sign up on the moon. Let people know that it's open for business.
Yeah.
Look in the telescope, Penny. You can see the.
Will there be a Kiss the Sky
area.
on the moon? I think not.
It'd be the first moon.
Not by this guy.
Has to magnetically place the records on the thing, so otherwise it's.
Will there even be records on the moon? Will there be turntables on the moon?
Sure.
You might clone yourself. You never know.
No, I'm not going to call myself.
You know how hard you'd
You
work in
work
your
on
own
yourself.
store, Steven, if there's just like 5 of yous?
Pardon me?
You know how hard you'd work in your own store if there's like 5 of yous?
You have 4 clones
Busting
running around
your
here.
balls? Like
Yeah.
5.
Holy shit.
You wouldn't clone yourself like
No.
if you had the chance?
No, in all honesty, if there was that opportunity or ability, nah, I wouldn't do that.
Nah.
Why?
Why not?
Because when it's over, it's over.
Overpopulation.
I want to be
That's
done.
why.
I want to be done.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's beyond here?
Some people say there's an afterlife. Some people say there's not.
Well, what do you believe as a Muslim? Your religion, what does it tell you? What do you believe?
Well, I grew up Baptist, so they told us, you die, you're gonna go to pearly gates and blah 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 blah. In Islam, it
Same
said,
thing Catholic raised, yeah.
Yeah, but from our teaching, it said, when you're out of here, son, you're out of here. You're out. It's done. It's over with.
Is that the Muslim religion? That's what they?
Well,
Islam.
that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches. So, for instance, they always tell black people, wait, things are bad now, but wait till you get to heaven where it's going to be better. So in Islam, they teach us we're not waiting. We're going to build our heaven on earth here to make things better now instead of waiting.
I like
for
that.
Instead of waiting for something to happen, make it happen now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like that.
But since I'm a science guy, I believe that energy is always transferred. So when this goes, this energy has to go somewhere. So I don't know if that's heaven, the mothership, somebody's basement,
Or
somebody's
the
soil. I don't
like
know.
literally,
but,
that energy is already in the
this
ground.
energy has to go somewhere.
absorbed by other living forms.
You know.
Yeah, we decompose. We're absorbed by the earth. We end up in a soybean plant or.
Damn.
Hell yeah. I want my tasty soybean.
Oh, I saw this thing like pods when you die.
Yeah.
Like a tree, they like put you in like a little pod and plant you, and a tree grows up.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
That's fucked up.
That's cool.
It's kind of cool.
I want to be a tree.
I saw the diagrams and the guys in there and the little bamboo or whatever.
Fig tree.
Tree.
I wanna be a fig tree.
You know how you came into this world, right?
Yeah, but who wants to do that when they did? That's like,
It's the
we
same
gotta
way.
know.
yeah.
You gotta know.
And like, what if
Being
that
an
tree?
organ donor.
What if that
Think
tree had?
about it. It's like it doesn't matter. You're gonna do it. It's like, what, you're gonna hog that? What are you gonna use that? You take that with you?
Yeah,
You're gonna.
I'm taking all this shit with me. So, like, what if that tree like grew?
Give me those organs.
I don't know, grapes or fruit or something on it.
You're providing
Nutrients. That's
nutrients.
gonna
Like
be
we-
like
yeah.
Would you
food
eat that?
for it. Why not? It's not you.
Man.
It's like
Am I going to really know?
But Steve, he's like, oh, this is Steve. What's the fuck is
energy.
that? This kid doing it.
It's not made with. I mean, it's probably energy, but like, no, it's not parts of Steve.
I want my ashes. Actually, I've told my kids that there are 5 places I would like to have my ashes cast.
5 places?
Yeah, and the last one
They're gonna do
is
chores. I like that.
the garden of wherever I last lived, you know. But there are 4 other places that are kind of interesting, and the first one being the scene on the album The Sound of Music, the field where they're running through.
Mm-hmm.
I want my ashes scattered there. I was born in Salzburg, Austria, where The Sound of Music took place, so that's one place. Then the center field of the Little League Diamond at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, where I played Little League. And the third place would be my grandfather's farm in New Creek, West Virginia. Anywhere on the farm would be fine. And the fourth place, Wounded Knee. And the fifth place would be the garden, wherever I last lived. So if it was in the garden and might produce a tomato plant, and somebody be eating the tomato plant, that would be Grandpa Dude. But they're taking a bite out of the tomato.
Again, you're not eating like his flesh. It's the energy.
Just-
The plant took it. The energy is food.
That don't seem creepy to you?
No, the cycle of what I keep aquariums. I watch
And
different
when I'm dead,
cycles
creepy
happen
ain't going to be
as
an
that
issue.
things
so.
consume different things. Things make waste. Things consume that waste. Things. No, I absolutely see the cycle all the time.
There's this story.
I'd be proud to give back to the things that made me.
Correct.
I'm not giving back
I agree
shit.
with you.
But
Yeah.
I'm done. Look,
Yeah, but
wrap
it's
it up.
borrowed.
Mummify me like a
It's
tut.
borrowed. It's not yours.
True. You're right. You're right.
Hey, I read part of the Quran, by the way.
Do you?
I worked for a person. The company I worked for, Peak Antifreeze, one of the owners was Muslim. And he gifted me with an English,
Oh, did he?
yeah,
Sweet.
of the Quran. And I've read parts of it. I haven't read the whole thing. And I liked it. I thought the teachings were good, solid, sound.
So if you didn't know, Steve has converted to Islam.
Like,
he's brainwashed you, Steve. I knew it was going to happen. No, but there's this. Actually, it's not a story. It's an historical account. After, I think this happened in Georgia. Might have happened in Mississippi, but I think it happened in Georgia. Peaches are in Georgia, right? Peaches
Mm-hmm. Georgia Peach.
are okay. After the slaves were free, there's a certain area. After the slaves were free and stuff like that, there was a certain area. I wish I could find the story, and where the people were there were like, "Fuck it, you're free, but you're not free." So they locked them in a certain area, and didn't feed them or anything. It was like a lot of slaves, like they ended up dying, right? So after they died, these peach trees grew up from like the area because there was so many bodies. So the peach trees grew up, and so the people that know the story, they don't eat the peaches from that area.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know. It's just like,
Well, that's kind of a different story,
Yeah.
though.
That's more spiritual.
Yeah, very
That's,
spiritual.
yeah, that's.
yeah, but if you pass away and they get you one of those things, and I don't know, Steve, I could eat a tomato plant from you, man. That's just.
But if I wanted to be part of that earth
Yeah.
garden, then it would be a different story.
That doesn't scare me.
And in that situation where the Georgia Peach, those folks did not have a choice, and they didn't want to be there.
True.
And I get that. It's kind of neat. It's a symbolic thing as much as it is
That's probably
anything
why they
else.
made
I'm
them.
not going to eat from there. That's like condoning what had happened.
Right.
It's a classic Native American burial ground.
Right.
It's-
Yeah.
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 We don't like
Exactly.
remember it. We don't like.
Tomato plant. I
Maybe a soybean.
Well, it could be a flower garden.
He said
It could be a
soybean.
flower garden. It doesn't have to be the tomato plant. It can be, daisy field or something. But I just want to be laid to rest where I last lived. That's kind of the point. But yeah, it's messed up.
You want to wrap it up?
Sure.
Any last words?
Tear it down.
Tear it down. No.
Rebuild it though. Got to rebuild it and build it right.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, again, I always appreciate the dialogue and just the forum of discussion. I think we're all, again, civil enough to... My take is I really don't try to argue things that you can't prove. And that's religion, sports, I throw into that topic because at some point, at the end of the day, we're just going to walk away and be like, yeah, take care of your family, do the thing. It really doesn't matter.
All right.
So when it comes to core, direct, we can see the repercussions of it. It's a real thing. Sure, we can argue that and how that should be applied to us. But when it comes to things that you can't prove, it's up to the individual how into that topic you want to choose to get. Gotcha. And yeah, no, I appreciate always being able to delve into that and still safely just poke around, see what everyone thinks, and kind of step back and out of it.
Gotcha.
It's fun.
Yeah.
All right, this is KIK with Steve and Brandon, and till 2 weeks from now. From 2 weeks from now on Monday, we'll be back. Peace.
Peace.
Later.
Later.